Hi guys, how you doing? It is Tuesday morning. It's been a pretty crazy week. So yeah, talking about burning the candle at both ends. So if you're regular to the channel, you will know that I did a week staying away, staying in my own clothes, sleeping in my dirty plastering clothes on a camp bed on a building site. And we did that from Monday through to Friday morning. I come back Friday. So came back Friday, and then I had to edit all the footage to get it up for Saturday morning. And the video turned out to be an hour and 45 minutes long, which pretty much sucked up all the random access memory on my computer. It really struggled to do it. And then obviously got it uploaded. And then, so Saturday morning it was up. And then, so yeah, after doing that week, working all that time, working sort of like 6 in the morning to generally sort of like 9 o'clock at night, maybe a little bit earlier, maybe a bit later on different days. I have a look at the video. So on the Saturday, I had to get all my computer gear and get that packed away into Judy's beauty room down the end of the garden, because we had arranged to have a sten do, which is a mix of the stag and the hen, having a mixed do, okay? And we were having it at our house, so we had to get the house party ready for lots of people coming over. So that's what we did Saturday, and then Saturday evening, lots of people came over. I mean, when you get older, it's hard to bounce back from things like that. I'm 50, yeah. People were still in the house at 4 o'clock in the morning on the Saturday, Sunday. So that really like messed with your sleeping arrangements, your routine and all that sort of stuff. So got some sleep Sunday, then got up Sunday sort of like late, and then tidied up the house. Monday I had to go and start this job, which was a full room, and I was not feeling it. I did go in, but I only did half a day. We'll have a look in a minute, which luckily it's just round the corner from the job, and luckily there was a good reason why I could only do half a day there. So I've rearranged my week. I was supposed to be at a different job today, but it was all right. There was movement on it, so we are going to go in and get this job done today. That's about it, I think. What else did I want to say just before we get into the actual plastering? The views have all gone up quite a lot, and I've also been bleeding over into Facebook, because through doing these YouTube videos, it appears that a lot of people have been coming over to the Facebook, my Facebook page, the group Plaster Master Smurf 74, and subsequently they've been following me, and Facebook has noticed this and given me the grand title of a digital creator. So I've been having a bit of a push on there, and I got to admit, I mean, there's a few characters on Facebook, isn't there? Some of the comments, you know, they're not really considered that much, are they? Anyway, that's all I've got to say about that. But yeah, I'm really struggling to keep up with all the comments. I've kind of made it a bit of a thing to try and, especially on YouTube, keep up with everything and read every single comment, but I'm a bit inundated, especially after this weekend, because I've just been offline. I mean, it's good to take some time out every now and again. I've not been on Facebook, I've not been on YouTube, I've not been checking the analytics or anything. I've just put my phone away for a couple of days and just not looked at it. And this morning I'm on it, and I'm just absolutely inundated with comments and stuff that I've got to catch up with. So hang in there with me. I've got some more ideas for some videos from a lot of them. I'm reading through them. So yeah, with all that being said, yeah, it's been pretty busy, and it's back to get into the flow of life. Because like I say, staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning, partying, really does take it out of you these days. I'm still not 100% now. So let's get back into it and do some stuff about plastering, shall we? Right, see you at the job. Literally, it's just 2 minutes down the road. So it might only be 2 minutes down the road, but the traffic is terrible. Okay, so we are in the room. I spent half a day in here yesterday getting things prepped up. The reason I could not do all this in one day, and it would be quite a hard, long day for one guy to do, especially with all the prep needed. Now, as you can see, there was a lot of chases in here that needed filling up. So that is something that I have done. And the main reason why we couldn't get on with this is because this did have like an Artex all over the ceiling when I come to view the job. And when I come to actually do it, he's removed it all. But what that revealed was it was quite a good thing because it had the lime wash or distemper paint underneath it. And if you do not know what that is, it's a chalky substance. It's basically white dust. And plaster does not like stick into it or anything really. It will take another layer of paint or maybe a thin sort of Artex, and it's got a bit of a landmine, if you like. If you don't know it's up there, you add the plaster weight to it, and when you're troweling up and stuff, that's when the plaster will start falling down, because the weakness in the bond is where the paint is stuck to that dusty surface. So what you need to do is stabilize it. And normally what happens is, I mean, you can use all sorts of things to stabilize distemper, but the main thing is to give it time to cure. Now in this case, I've used a very watery mix of PVA, so it actually gets into that dust and soaks in there, and I've left it overnight, so it's got a chance to properly cure and all the way through the depth of that dust, make it go hard basically. Otherwise what happens is the air gets to the surface and it feels sort of like touch dry, but underneath it in that dust, it's all still like soaking wet. So that's why it needs a time to stabilize. Now you could use SBR, you can use a dedicated stabilizing solution. I think the main thing is just leave it overnight, and then you should be in some sort of area of safety. Okay, so we are ready to go. All I've got to do is PVA these walls and just to crack on with getting this job done today. Okay, so there's our PVA ready to rock and roll. It's mixed with a bit of water up to about a single cream consistency. Different brands of PVA are thicker than others. This one seems quite thin, Bostic. Right, so the reason we are PVAing these walls is because they have been painted. So we need the PVA to physically glue the plaster to the walls. If you've got areas such as this, we need to use the PVA, which I gave this a little bit of a coat yesterday, to kill the suction. So we've got no suction at all to speak of. Very high suction because we're back to bare plaster. So, yeah, we're not killing any suction. So we're literally just using the PVA just to stick, physically glue the plaster to the actual painted surfaces. Now I tend to do it on a big pole with a fluffy roller. Tends to make that sort of thing go a lot quicker. Okay, and remember, when you go over PVA, you need that PVA to be at least tacky. In this case, it's still quite wet, which indicates there's no suction hardly whatsoever on this painted surface, but the ceiling has pulled in. So the first things first, I think when we're going to tackle this room is I'm just going to knock up enough to get this ceiling on, and then we'll start having a look at the walls. Now the only reason you don't want to go over PVA when it's soaking wet is because it's wetter than plastering. If you try to plaster onto soaking wet PVA, it's going to slide around all over the place and you're going to have a lot of trouble with it. This is why you need it to at least tack up. Now they say you can't go over it when it's dry, but you can let it go a little bit further than you think you can. It can be all like touch dry and it'll be fine, it will re-liven back up. But if you look at all the information profile and everything, the cover their backs, they say it has to be tacky, okay? But you can let it go a little bit further than that in my experience. Okay, so we knocked up to quite like just over a bag to this sort of consistency. It's a matter of taste really. The thicker you knock it up, the easier it is to handle, but the less distance you can spin with it, you know. So yeah, bag enough, let's get this ceiling on. I'm always using this 20x5 carbon steel trowel for certain reasons. Just because it's a small room, not that high, my only hop up is that crate, so the time is pretty much bang on 9 o'clock because people have been asking for timings. we're going to start getting this ceiling on now. Time is 9. Okay, so it's 20 past 9. It's taken me 20 minutes to get this ceiling on. I haven't been going at it hammer and tongs and throwing it on really quick. You can see there's a few sporadic trowel marks, and this is because the original ceiling is quite undulated and up and down, and the boards have warped, which is why I like using something like that 20 by 5 carbon steel trowel, because it lets me sniff out areas like that and we can get this first coat flat. The idea of the first coat is to get it flat, not smooth. There is a confusion between the difference between flat and smooth. So if we get this as flat as we can, the first coat, when it comes to putting the second coat on, the second coat will go on much more regulated. At the moment, we've got really thin areas, we've got really deep areas where I've been sniffing out holes, high points and stuff like that. So that's why I have taken the time, a bit more longer than usual, to get things on in a flat condition. Now I've got a little bit left in the bucket, so I think I'm probably going to pick up these reveals, because I do like to get things like that out the way sooner rather than later. So I'm going to get the reveals on, flatten this ceiling down. Okay, so I've just been across the ceiling again and flattened it in, and it's going off quite sporadically. Now remember, I use PVA for this. You could use SBR. Now the SBR, guys, SBR, that's styrene butane polymer, and I say resin, some people call it rubber. If you use SBR on walls and stuff, it kills all the suction, okay? If you're a PVA user, you're probably going to get a little bit of suction. Now, when I put the PVA on this ceiling, I did notice it pulled in quite quick, so I was kind of expecting it. I put the PVA across these walls and I got these reveals on. Okay, these reveals are virtually just as wet as they were when I put them on 20 minutes ago. The time is now 9:38, so with this ceiling being as up and down as it is, it has taken quite a bit of attention, and it's taken quite a bit more time to get it into a condition. So now's a point to decide what you're going to do. Are you going to push forward with some walls, or are you going to sit back with what you got? Now in this case, I think what we're going to do is sit back with what we've got, just to be on the safe side. I've got this and this left on my hook, so I'm going to put that back in the mix, and I'm going to mix that up and mix up enough to put a tight coat over all this, the laying down coat, and I'm going to speed that up. So by adding the old plaster from the previous gauge into the next mix, it increases the setting time. So instead of hanging things out like the SBR guys will, I'm actually speeding up the set just for the ceiling, because judging by those reveals, the way they're holding back, the rest of these walls are going to happen in the same way. Okay, so the time is 9:46, and I've knocked up much less to put the second coat on, because I know that first coat went on quite thick. I knocked it up quite thick, so you can see this is much thinner, because we just want a tight regulated coat over the whole surface. The time is 2 minutes past 10, and I've just got the second coat all over the ceiling. Now you can see that this second coat has gone on a lot neater. I haven't flattened this in, this is how it's gone on. And it's gone on a lot neater because we took the time to flatten out that first coat as well as we did. Now this is pulling in again, this ceiling, because I have sped the gear up, and obviously we're getting quite a bit of suction because I use PVA to stabilise and not SBR. If we'd used SBR, we might have stabilised a hell of a lot more suction. Now remember, these reveals went on at the same time, and they're still quite wet because of the surface. It's what makes it very, very, very difficult to give people timings. When they ask for timings, how long do you leave between? It's just experience, you know. Those reveals are acting in literally the complete opposite way as what this ceiling is. So now, it's only now I'm even like thinking about, well, I might just flatten them in. I've got a tiny little bit, I might get a tight coat over them just to lay them down. But I need to get back on this ceiling because it's flying off. Those reveals hanging around. It's the same gear. So now the time is 20 past 10, and as an indication of how far this ceiling has gone, this has had 2 coats. You see my finger's not leaving much of a blemish. This is the first coat, so it hasn't even been laid down. And look how much my finger is leaving a blemish. Again, just indicating how the surfaces you go on, the conditions are changing, the set times, one extreme to the other. If I wanted to, for the efficiency of the room, I should have killed all that suction on that ceiling, and then maybe I might have had some time to get some of these walls on and handle a bigger set. If you're an experienced plasterer, you will know that. But yeah, for this sake, I think it's been good, because just for the video's sake. So I'm going to stick with this ceiling I've got a few minutes now. I'm going to go and catch up with some phone calls about some upcoming work, and then I'm going to get back onto this. What did I say the time was? Hold on. 20 minutes past 10. Giving it a little bit, give it 5-10 minutes. Okay, the time is 10:26 and I am moving to a Rafina Flex 2, very flexible stainless steel trowel. It's going to take it because we've dealt with all the ripples with the 20x5 carbon steel trowel over there. Okay, 10:39 and I've just got across the ceiling. These reveals will probably take a bit of a lay down. Now I've had a little bit left in the bucket, I cleared it out, a tiny bit on my hook. I'll just whip that up, knock that back with my trowel, because I only need a tiny amount. Totally cheating, that's going to give me my second coat just to go over these reveals. 10:47, I need to get back on this ceiling pretty quick. I've just cleaned my bucket out, I've given those reveals a second coat as you just saw. I need to get back on the ceiling, back over there. Okay, just for reference, this is the sort of sludge I'm getting out sort of like every run I'm doing. Okay, it's the fat, what you call the fat that comes out the plaster. Okay, I'm calling it. I am going to give it another run over quickly because I like the sludge to be a lot less that comes out of it, but that ceiling is in an acceptable level. I'm saying because we're in somebody's home, etc. I am going to give it that final trowel, but you could well easily get away with that as the finish. The time is 10:59, so it's literally, we start putting on at 9, 2 hours this ceiling's gone, and it's done. I'm calling it. Okay, so these reveals, not done. Well, they're not too far off since we wet down, but look, I can still, you see, you know, they're still a little way off, a good 2 or 3 hits, maybe another 45 minutes for them or something. So as far as timings go, that is a perfect example. It's exactly the same plaster, exactly the same bucket, different surfaces have affected it, the time is completely different. Okay, right, I'm gonna crack on with the walls. Okay, so I just flew over that whole ceiling, and that's what I got out of the whole ceiling. And I went over these reveals as well, so most of that sludge came out of these reveals. These reveals, I'd say, will probably still need another little tight trowel up. Right, so let's start concentrating on the walls. And remember, we're gonna have the complete opposite thing happening. We've hardly got any suction on these. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna knock up a bag in a bit, see how far that gets me, cut the walls maybe around to there. I need to really at least get half the wall, half the room on if I want to get this complete today. As coincidence would have it, the best man to my wedding has turned up here today doing some work, cleaning the oven out. I'm happy to say he's feeling and looking a bit like I am, and we're looking forward to some healthy living. Say healthy living and much more age appropriate activities, possibly next weekend, like a ramble and then lunch or something like that. Time is 11:30. Back to the 20x5 carbon steel for laying on. I think it's important to add at this point, it's not often you see a plasterer laying on with a trowel of that size. They generally tend to be quite a bit smaller, maybe around the 14 or 16 inch mark. Okay, a bag and a bit has gone on. I didn't check the time, hold on. And it's got me around to there. I started this internal and round to there. So what I'm going to turn back and do is flatten in with a 20x5 carbon steel trowel, although it has gone on rather neat with that in the first place, but I'm going to flatten in, and then I dare say I probably am going to knock up the same again. And considering how much a bag and a half did, I'm going to assume it's going to get me around there and possibly into this internal. The time is 11:54 by the way. Okay, so the time is 12:30 and I've just got this one. There's quite a bit left in the bucket. And these first walls have still got a bit of play on them, but unfortunately it's a bit of an awkward amount to leave. I've already got, you know, from here there, one gauge, the second bucket gear is there to there. Because this is holding back, it is tempting to push on and get this last wall on, but I think I might be pushing my luck, and like I said, I don't think I'm in the mood or physically able to enjoy rushing around like a headless chicken trying to keep up with all that. So I think what I'm going to do with that in there, because it's still quite workable, as you can see, I think there might just be enough in there and on my hook to start getting a tight coat, second coat on this and this sooner rather than later. So I think I'm going to do that exactly now, and then I'm going to drop back and flatten these in as they're just the first coat. Time is 12:53 and we've got that wall laid down with the same gear that this went on. So I went across, laid all this down, and then I turned around and flattened this in. Now I could push on and get this, but I'm just not feeling it. I'm gonna check on my phone calls and enjoy a bit of coffee. So I'll be back in 5 minutes. Time is 1:20 and these two walls here are definitely pulling in quite nicely. It's time to get this and this all laid down. The time is 13:56 and this first wall and this wall are pulling in a bit quicker than I was expecting. They're starting to brown and they've had their first go with the Rafina stainless steel Superflex. This wall and all this has been laid down with a separate gauge, as you recall, and I'm going to switch back to a 20x5 carbon steel trowel and give this second coat its first flatten. Then I reckon I'm going to drop back and give these two its last. Then we'll be able to push forward and have the time to get this last wall on. It's 2:20 and these two walls are completely finalled. I need to get this bucket cleaned out and then start thinking about getting this last wall on. As long as it goes on before just on 3 o'clock, then we should be out of it at a reasonable time. But this video has definitely not been an example of how to do a room in the most efficient way. Ideally, what I should have done was get a little bit more seal on the ceiling so I didn't have to turn back onto it so fast, and be able to have time to get a couple of easy walls on or something, so which would have allowed me for this hit maybe get the whole of the rest of the room on, but it's just too much for me to get that awkward wall, so we're going to leave that right to the end. Time is 2:31 and these walls around here are pulling in quite quickly, to be honest with you. I've given the bucket a clean round. I need to go downstairs and get a couple of bits. I'm tempted to push forward, but I'm still going to hang back. They've had their second go with the carbon steel. By the time I've gone down and got some water, made a phone call, drunk some more coffee, this is going to be time for a flexi trowel, its first one. Then I'm going to start thinking about throwing this wall on by itself, and I might use some of the dirty water from the splash bucket I've been using all day to send that off quick from the first gauge, the first bucket of gear that we knock up for it. Okay, we're pretty much bang on 3 o'clock. These walls all around here have sinking the flexi trowel, and I'm just about to knock up for this final wall. 17 minutes past 3 o'clock in the afternoon and this wall has just gone. We've got that left. I knocked up a whole bag for it. I've got a little bit left on that wall. Oh, I've got a tiny little patch to do in the room next door, but we won't show that. I can drop back on these walls now and give them their final trowel with the stainless steel flexi, and then I can turn straight back round and flatten this in with the carbon 20-inch trowel. Now, I didn't mind knocking up a little bit because hopefully this is still going to be quite live by the time I get around and flatten it in. So I'm going to knock this back to put the top coat on and help speed this last wall along. 3:34 and this wall is all flattened in. This and this round here is finalled. 3:50, let's get this last wall laid down. 4 minutes past 4 and let's get right back on it and flatten it in. And then clean that bucket out before that goes off. 12 minutes past 4 o'clock and that wall is flattened in. Gives us a little bit of time now to start messing around. Get some tools and stuff out of it. Start getting tidied up. Okay, 16:34 and I'm going to give the 20x5 another visit over this wall with a touch of water from the wet brush. 4:47 and we're not too far off. It's in a nice condition. It looks like it's at a point where I can put this away and start tackling it with the 16-inch stainless steel Flexi Rafina trowel. And in the meantime, give it a few minutes, just keep your eye on it, get some tools out, start getting tidied up some more. 1658, I've just touched it, you can see it's just starting to brown off in a couple of places. It's time to get back on it with the stainless steel. The time is 6 minutes past 5, and I've just been across it, and this is the sort of residue we're getting out of there. I've had to wash it off a few times, it's not from the whole wall. You can see it's getting thinner and thinner. So judging, looks like we've got a few brown spots coming in. Judging by the speed it's pulling in, and I'm having to get back on it, it's not going to be long at all before I need to get back on that. And I dare say it's going to take one more with the stainless steel trowel. Okay, 18 minutes past 5, and you see we've got some brown spots occurring. Look, it's, you know, it's not far off, but I'm going to get back on it now and give it its final trowel. I've been sweeping up and stuff, just getting tidied. So 10 minutes, get across that wall probably, and we are done in this room. Okay, it's 25 minutes past 5, and as far as plastering is concerned, this room is complete. So I just ran across it again. You can see the residue that's coming out is much reduced and very watery indeed. Browning off, there's nothing more we can do to that wall. So yeah. There we go. It's a double bedroom, average size. Obviously it's somewhere between 40 and 50 metres, I would have thought. It took we went just into 8 bags in total. Obviously putting on and laying down and stuff. The ceiling had quite a little bit more plastered than I was expecting it to, due to it being up and down and undulated all over the place, so we took the time to fill a lot of those undulations. It was very deep in some places. So there you go. Right, all I need to do now is get tidied up, get out of it. Which we haven't got too much to do, because just having that last wall left there gave us some time to get on with that, rather than, you know, rushing, being stuck with a massive gauge and not having time to get tidied up. And keeping that as part of, you know, what you need to do. Right, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to get home. That's why I'm not going to go on and ramble on too much in this video right now.